Hi everyone and welcome back. We're on week 4 and this is our third video, and last week we were talking about the hormones and how they all interplay with one another, and this week we're going to talk about the adrenal hormones, primarily cortisol, and what that does to your symptoms and your body. Okay, very important. But before we do that, I want to just do a couple of little housekeeping things so you are caught up to date. First, I want to congratulate all of you who took the time to do your homework, your diet diary, and send it to me. Thank you very much. It's really helpful for me to understand you. And a special call out to Kimberly, who did hers first. And I have to tell you, I'm so proud of her. You've got to know, she's got 6 kids. So no excuses. Everyone can do it. You got your little homework sheet in your last week's email. Download it and fill it out. Okay. And how about it? Okay, so your labs are starting to come in now. And I finished the very first book. And I say book because this is no small report that you're going to be getting. So this is the front page. Everybody has the same front page. And yes, my darlings, this is what the first report came to be. Okay, hers was quite large, but it's going to be similar for you. 112 pages. It's beautiful. Okay, now one more thing before we move forward, and that is your questionnaire. Now, I know you did a questionnaire for your labs when you did your ZRT kit, but remember, there is a questionnaire that you got from me personally. If you don't fill that out and your labs come back to me and I do your report, I'll be doing it without the answers to those questions. So try to get to that. The average person, about 30 of the 51 of you going through this program have done that. So a lot of you still haven't done it. And it's okay with me if you don't do it. But if you do it, it gives me more information about you to help you. The average person took 11 minutes. The one that took the longest was 20 minutes. That's not that long. And I took the little questionnaire myself, and I was on the higher end, about 20 minutes. So I'm always a little slower, and I'm somewhat of a slow reader. But any event, that's gonna be the longest it takes you, on average, 11 minutes. So let's get started and start talking about this very important adrenal hormone. Now, what is the hormone that the adrenal gland produces the most? And that's cortisol. Now, it produces mineral corticoids, it helps balance sodium and potassium, and it produces norepinephrine and epinephrine, but it produces cortisol. Excuse me. Now, what drives up cortisol is stress, and we all have a lot of it. And what we see with menopause is that in women who have more stress, they're going to have more menopausal symptoms. And I'm going to explain to you why that is here. And next week is implementation week, and I'm going to show you how to decrease cortisol. And today we're going to see why it's so important to decrease cortisol. Okay, so before I do that, I want to show you what balance really means, because some people think that balance is just staying on an even keel all the time. This blue line, that we need to just stay calm and on an even keel all the time. But in reality, that's not life. And we can't do that. And that would not even be who we are. And that would not provide us any joy of any major significance. So in reality, it's really more that we oscillate over a baseline. Sometimes we're more excited, sometimes we're less excited and maybe even a little bit lower. But we oscillate over this balance, and that's what's normal. Now, some of us oscillate a little higher and a little lower. And the higher you're more likely to go naturally, the lower you're more likely to go naturally. And oscillating back and forth at pretty much an even keel, okay, that's normal. So somebody like me, for example, very passionate about life, and you know, the moon is beautiful to me, the trees are beautiful, the flowers are beautiful, listening to the wind is beautiful. Everything is beautiful and exciting to me. So I oscillate a little higher. And also, I connect with people probably a little bit more than the average person. And so they tell me their story, and I may oscillate a little lower at times too, because their pain can sometimes be my pain. So I have highs and lows, we all do. And I call my lows a little bit of a funk, you know, like I'm a little bit of funk. Something happened or thinking about something. But the key is I pull myself out of it and start enjoying my highs again, okay? Now, where we have a problem, okay, is not here. We need to expect that. We need to want that. We need to be who we are, right? And love that. This is where the problem is. When we swing high with anxiety and swing low with depression, anxiety, and we've got these highs and lows. That's not balance, and that's what we're going to prevent. And stress causes this, because stress also decreases your sleep, and your resiliency decreases significantly when you're not sleeping, when you're having high stress levels. Okay, so here's why it's also important, critical. Now you're going to really probably know something that your doctor might not even know. And that's what happens to your hormones when you have a lot of stress. So the first thing we're going to look at is high stress is going to increase your cortisol. So we're going to look at these arrows up here. So cortisol, as cortisol increases, your sex hormone binding globulin decreases. This is a fact of life, and this is a fact of our body. As cortisol increases, sex hormone binding globulin decreases. So think of sex hormone binding globulin like a sponge, and it just absorbs your hormones, okay? So if you've got a big sponge ready to suck up all your hormones, well, then your hormones are going to go down. But if your sponge, if you don't have a sponge, or your sponge is low or small, then, and that is, so your sex hormone binding globulin is low, your hormones go up, particularly testosterone, okay? Yes, estrogen is affected. Yes, thyroid is affected. Yes, but testosterone is the #1 hormone that is affected by sex hormone binding globulin. Estrogen is affected, but not nearly the amount of as testosterone. You're going to find out what happens when cortisol goes up, testosterone goes up in the next page. But let me just first show you the opposite. So if cortisol goes down and we're at our normal, even keel, up and down, oscillating normally, then sex hormone binding globulin goes up, normal, but it will go up. But if it goes up too much, our testosterone goes down. So it's important that we have a balanced sex hormone binding globulin, but where we have to really think that happens related to our adrenals and our stress is that cortisol goes up, sex hormone binding goes down, and testosterone goes up. Why is that important? Wouldn't you like more testosterone? Huh? No. Women need very, very little testosterone. Very little. What happens when cortisol goes up and testosterone goes up Okay, let me go back here. What happens when cortisol goes up and testosterone goes up? Well, guess what happens? Increased hot flashes, increased weight gain, increased blood glucose, increased sleep disturbance, increased polycystic ovarian syndrome and infertility, increased insulin resistance. It's that hamster on a hamster wheel, and this is what happens, okay? And this is why it's so important that we balance our cortisol so we can balance the most important hormone that binds to sex hormone binding globulin, and that's testosterone. And this is how a woman balances her testosterone. So, I have some more homework for you today. It's in your email, and I want you to download it. It's very beautiful. Yvonne, who's an amazing graphic artist, she does all of our art stuff for us. And what we have for you is a paper, a single paper. Download it, print it off, use it, and send it back to me. Because on one side of the paper, I want you to mindfully think about all the things in your life that give you energy. Let's call those energy givers. List all the things that gives you energy. And on the opposite side of the paper, I want you to list all the things that drain your energy. Now, I want you to be cognizant that there could be something that falls on both sides, okay? So for instance, with me, work, okay? Work is a major energy giver to me, but there's certain parts of my work that are energy drainers, okay? So I may list the things about my work that give me energy, and then the specific things about my work that drain my energy. And next week, we're going to be doing implementation of everything we've done so far, and we're going to be looking at this list a little more closely, because the goal is that we want to increase this side and decrease this side. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you did, right? Send me back a little email. Tell me how you're doing. Send me your lists. Fill out your questionnaire. Give me your 5-day diet diary. It's never too late. And be looking out for your report, because it's gonna knock your socks off. Because that's what I love to do. I love to knock people's socks off. So here's your report's gonna be similar to this. You're gonna love it. All right, baby dolls, we're ready, we're cooking, and I'll see you next week.